Hello, Blitz fans of all ages. It's me, Plumcastle here, showing you guys the new Kunze Panzer that should be entering the game about the time of Blitz's birthday, from what I understand. So, what is the Kunze Panzer? The Kunze Panzer is a new Tier 7 premium tank that should, like I said, enter the game about the time of Blitz's birthday. So with that, let's go into some of these stats. Now, I'm not running provisions or equipment with these stats. These are just the raw stats from the tank. If you want to see more stats, then be sure to let me know down in the comments. But here we go. So you can see, first off, its HP points when you aren't running any kind of hit point boost is 1,000 exactly, which is pretty decent, I would say. View range is 250 meters. Damage per minute is about 2,000, so you could kill about 2 Kunze Panzers in a minute, is what it would seem to indicate. Penetration is 160. That's not the highest penetration, but then again, it's not terribly surprising considering the fact that this is a light tank, and they do tend to have less penetration. Damage is 225 per shot. Crew modules, 122. Velocity is 805. I think that's the speed at which it goes. Penetration loss over distance is 9.38%. Caliber, it's a 90 caliber gun. Rate of fire is 8.9. Reload time is 671. Base aim time is 2 seconds, I believe that is, or it's 2.01. Dispersion is 0.345. Dispersion factors do change while on the move, as you can see by these numbers that I'm kind of pointing you towards with my mouse. The 0.150 when moving, 0.150 when rotating, 0.08 when the turret is moving, and 4 after you shoot. Gun angles for depression, you've got 10 degrees. Elevation, you've got 15 degrees. So with depression, that's actually a very good depression value. The elevation isn't the highest I've seen. Beyond that, you got the turret traverse, which is 38.5. Looks to be like a fairly light tank. You can see it's only about 27.81 tons, I believe that is. Speed forward should be about 70 kilometers per hour, which is what I think this is indicating. Backward is 23, so that's actually quite a bit slower, though that's not terrible for a backward speed. Power to weight ratio, I believe this is, effective power to weight ratio. On hard terrain, you get 23, medium terrain 21, and soft terrain 10, and then traverse speed. Size, concealment. Now, since you are a light tank, you are more than likely going to be in bushes. At least that's how I would play it, inside a bush, trying to poke out and get those sneaky shots off. So while still, you've got a 30.5% camo. While moving, you've actually still got that same amount. Upon firing while still, you get 7.26. Upon fire while moving is also 7.26. So whether you're moving or not, it doesn't really seem to affect the concealment there. So again, that is not actually running a camo even, so that is just the tank itself. So you can see if I was to enable this camouflage, you'd see these values go up by about 3% each, I believe. Now you can see here is the armor profile. You can see it's not a terribly strong tank. You've got most of it between 50 and 56 millimeters, and a few places that are 56 to 112. There are some places where you can see spaced armor. However, if you're aiming for the gun mantlet, that's really not where you want to be aiming. So I don't think you're really going to have a problem penetrating, or also not having a problem getting penetrated. Armor performance, you can see this is against various tiers. We can see from tier 6, any tank can AP or premium AP it. As you can see here, not to from the front anyway, you can't see a whole lot of penetrating with HE or HESH, because I don't believe HESH is down in tier 6, and HE is not going to penetrate the front, or at least that's what it says. I have a feeling it'll still do a certain amount of damage. Smasher could probably still manage to sneak an HE in there, I have a feeling. From the side, you can see same, except now we've got almost an entire row of HE. Light tanks aren't really able to HE it, at least not all light tanks. And this is tier 6. From the back, anything will go in armor piercing, premium AP, and HE rounds. And when you go into tier 7, you can see that Hesh starts to come in. So 90 is saying 92% of tanks should be able to penetrate with this with Hesh on the front, I believe is what it's saying. Again, AP and premium AP go right in. When you go at it from the side, you can now see pretty much all tanks can HE it from the side, and from the back again, all tanks can HE. When you go into tier 7, you can see that from the side or from the back really doesn't change a whole lot. Now we have tier 8. Now, tier 8, oddly enough, I'm not seeing a whole lot in the HE for the front of the tank, which is kind of surprising, though I have a feeling you could probably penetrate this with most HE shells. Okay, so you can, just there aren't a whole lot of tanks, I guess. From the side, though, you can see now we're starting to see tank destroyers can use Hesh on this, because that must have been where tank destroyer Hesh shells came in. Very easy to penetrate with HE on the side, provided you don't hit the track, of course. And when from the back, I have a feeling anything's going to go through. Hesh, HE, armor piercing, it's just the softest spot of the tank. So you can see here now, you can see these are the kinds of play styles that it might go with. A peekaboo, you hide and cover, fully reload your gun, pre-aim, and sneak out just for a second to make one damaging shot before the enemy realizes you're hidden again. This is good for decent mobility tanks. I do this a lot in the VK28, and as you can see, it does seem to be a very, in fact, it says perfect fit for this tank. So I'm guessing that's because it's fast, you got decent concealment, you can just quickly get those snapshots. Front line, not recommended. That makes sense. With how low armor you have, you are going to get absolutely decimated if you sit in the front line. Hit and run is good because you can, hide in the bush, but this time when you spot the enemy without being seen, take a shot, and start running fast. You keep doing that to try to essentially play with the enemy and get them whittled down till your team can take them out, or you can take them out. A long-range sniping average, this doesn't really seem like it would be a great long-range tank to me. It can do long range, as it says here, but it's probably meant more for bush hiding and ambushes. Circle of Death, not recommended. The Circle of Death, I believe, is where you drive around a tank, and then, especially when it's a light tank and a tank destroyer, if a tank destroyer is slow, you can take the light tank and drive around, and the tank destroyer can never touch you, which is actually really annoying when you're the tank destroyer, but that's besides the point. 1 versus 1 brawl is also not recommended. With how low your both your penetration and your armor, you're going to be easily penetrated, and you're probably not going to be able to get a whole lot into the enemy team if you're not that great. So that means 1 versus 1 brawl, just don't do a head-to-head. Don't face hug in this tank. It's not recommended. And with that, now let's look at some of the tanks that I have compared it with. So you can see I've compared the Kunze Panzer to the SP1C, as it says right here. You can see right there it says compares with the SP1C, so I've compared it over here, as well as the RU251, which is really the main thing we're trying to compare here, because the Kunze Panzer, it seems to be like a tier 7 RU251. You can see again, I'm not running any equipment or provisions. This is just AP rounds. This is just showing the tanks themselves. So you can see damage per minute is just over 2,000 for the Kunze Panzer. It's a little bit under 2,000 for the SP1C, and of course, it's going to be well above the others for the RU251 just because it's a tier higher. But I would say still, it is fairly comparable when going down in a tier. 20 millimeters less of penetration for both the SP1C and the Kunze Panzer compared to the RU251. Rate of fire is better on the RU251, and the reload is better, but again, it's a higher tier tank. That is to be expected. The SP1C has quite a low shell velocity when compared to the other two. The Kunze Panzer actually has the exact same caliber and shell velocity as the RU251. In fact, both the RU251, the SP1C, and the Kunze Panzer all have 225 alpha damage, which is kind of nice. Different tiers just depending on how quickly they reload. Next, we have aim time. It's a little bit better on the SP1C and the RU251. The Kunze Panzer seems to be a little bit less accurate. Again, these are, I believe, dispersion values here. And then power, you can see that the Kunze Panzer is a little bit lower on horsepower than the other two. The SP1C actually has quite a bit more horsepower, and the RU-251 still has a pretty big advantage over the Kunze Panzer. So it's probably not going to be the strongest tank for uphill, I'm going to guess, because it does have a top speed of 70, but it might not be able to handle up and down as much as the RU-251 or the SP1C. And where are the dispersion value or the depression values? Because those should be around here somewhere. Let's see. Here we go. Depression and elevation. So like I said, the Kunze Panzer has 10 degrees. Also, the SP1C has 10 degrees of gun depression, and the RU-251 has 10 degrees of gun depression. All of those values are really good. You want higher gun depression. Like I said, the Kunze Panzer has 15 degrees of gun elevation. The SP1C also has 15 degrees of upward elevation, and the RU-251 actually has 3 more degrees. But really, that's the only thing different. Otherwise, they have identical depression/elevation values. Now, a thing to note about the Kunze Panzer, at least for right now, is it seems this will be one of the tanks that will be receiving the PBR models, which is physically based rendering. And let's go ahead and show you guys what that is, and then I'll actually show you guys the tank. So with that, let's move on over there. So you can see here with this PBR demonstration here, you can see that on the left, we have what we currently have in the game, and on the right, we have what is called a PBR model, or physically based rendering model. You can see the differences on a snow map, for example. You can see we've actually got snow on the tank as well. I believe the tank might actually be slightly more accurate. It's just a higher res model in general. Also, you can see on a desert map, you can see just a little bit more detail, what you would expect to see on a tank driving through the desert. And here you can see we've got mud because this is a bit more of a muddy map. And of course, also water as well. You can see on that tank there, you can see water splashed onto the bottom of the tank. And with that, let's now go look at the actual Kunze Panzer. So there is the Kunze Panzer. Now, you can see from these images that I'm slowly going by here, it does appear to be a PBR model, and I'm fairly certain it is because Wargaming has themselves said that is true. We'll have to wait and see, but I am pretty sure that the Kunze Panzer was one of the ones that was supposed to get the PBR models. And so there is the Kunze Panzer. It looks like it might even have a special camo. I'm really excited to see how we get this tank. I believe it's said to be for an event during Blitz's birthday. I don't know how easy the event is going to be, how it works, but we'll have to wait and see. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed, and as always, have fun, good luck, and happy tanking.